Let's be honest, we've all told a lie or two. Usually they're pretty harmless and not very convincing. But there are bare-faced liars, people who try to get away with murder quite literally. You've seen them on the news, tearfully pleading for help in finding a missing loved one. And all the time they know their husband, wife, even their own child is already dead. Now, though, a new type of crime fighter is moving in to unmask these killers and their crocodile tears. They're human lie detectors who can pick up the smallest twitch, the slightest irregularity. One false move and you're gone. We've all seen them and felt their anguish. The grieving son.
My mother was the heart of my family. She was the heart of her friends and anyone who knew her.
The desperate father.
My biggest fear is being denied a part of Gracie's future.
The loving husband.
We're really worried about you, your family, everyone's worried. Let someone know you're alright, please.
And then we discover we've been tricked. We were watching the killer all along.
A Sydney man who made desperate public appeals to find his wife's killer has now pleaded guilty to her murder.
But if you had a sense, watching those Oscar-worthy performances, that something wasn't quite right, well, science is backing you up. Techniques that could catch terrorists before they strike. And even solve some of Australia's most controversial cases.
I look and I listen. Most people don't. And I pay attention to everything someone does. The voice, the gesture, the gaze, the expression. And I look for things that don't fit together.
Dr. Paul Ekman is a human lie detector, a world-renowned psychologist who has developed scientific techniques for reading faces and spotting deception.
There are micro-expressions, very fast expressions, about a 25th of a second, that most people don't see. There are the gestural equivalents of slips of the tongue, which can reveal the truth.
I'd like to speak briefly about my family.
Dr. Ekman has trained law enforcement agencies around the world, including the FBI and Scotland Yard.
You don't know what you're talking about.
I know when you're lying.
And his work in catching out criminals has been turned into a hit TV series, Lie to Me.
Eyebrows go up like yours. Person knows the answer to the question they're asking.
I didn't kill Miss McCartney.
Now that's the truth.
But truth is often stranger than fiction. And Australia has had more than its fair share of real killers lying through their teeth.
If anyone's seen Jodie, anyone's heard anything.
3 years ago, Mark Galante reported his wife Jodie missing and made a public appeal for her return.
We all love you. Please come home.
The truth was, Galante had lured his wife into the bush and shot her in the back of the head.
Jodie is self-defense, so please just let someone know as soon as possible you're okay.
For Dr. Ekman, it's those almost imperceptible expressions and movements that give Galante up.
Now, on the shoulder. Can you back up? There we go. You see that shoulder move? Did you see it? It's it?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's minor.
We call it a fragment. Usually an expression, the person isn't certain whether they can get away with what they're saying. I have not yet had a case where someone did it who wasn't lying.
If anyone's seen Jodie, anyone's heard anything, please contact the police as soon as possible.
Something, let's stop right now. One of the things he does again and again, he's already done it twice, is he shakes his head like this.
Please just let someone know as soon as possible you're okay.
He's not saying, I can't believe what's happened. Then he would be doing this. No. At the same time, he's asking people to give information. He's telling them not to, and he's probably unaware he's doing that.
want to shot my parents.
When 20-year-old Sydney law student Seth Gonzalez made this seemingly terrified call to O,
They're not breathing, what do I do?
he'd already brutally murdered his father, mother and sister.
No way.
They've both been shot, have they?
I don't know, there's not a blood everywhere.
He too made a public appeal for help.
Most of you are probably aware of the tragedy that my family has experienced this week.
When he says that my family has experienced this week, I think he has a trace of upper lip raise, which looks like this. That's a disgust sign.
Most of you are probably aware of the tragedy that my family has experienced this week.
That's
It's
it.
there. My bet is that he's really disgusted with himself.
Seth Gonzalez was a very cold-blooded murderer.
Where Dr. Ekman reads their faces, Professor David Cantor tries to get inside their minds. He's an investigative psychologist and Britain's top criminal profiler.
The best way I could possibly describe my father is that he was my hero and role model.
This is part of the murder, this press conference and his having a script he works from. He is involved in writing a novel here that people will accept, that will be plausible. And my guess is that at one level he enjoyed all that. I mean, it really was an adventure that he felt he could be part of.
Even terrorists can't hide from Dr. Ekman. US intelligence and security agencies use Dr. Ekman's techniques at airports around the country. Do you believe we would have ever been able to pick the 9/11 terrorists?
No question. These were terrible disguisers.
And so too were the London bombers.
And I've also looked at some of the video on the English bombers who bombed the subways and the buses. None of these people were very good at concealment.
Australian police use similar techniques to unmask criminals.
Just from my policing experience, you get a gut feel on when somebody's genuine and sincere, as opposed to when somebody's trying to pull the wool over your eyes.
Homicide detective Shane Brundle has confronted plenty of cunning liars during his career.
The fact is, there will be changes in body language when somebody is trying to lie to you.
So was John Sharp a bad liar?
Yes. Very bad liar.
Just want to ask Anna or anyone that knows where she is or just anything about just my daughter.
In 2004, John Sharp appealed to the public to help find his pregnant wife Anna and their missing 19-month-old daughter Gracie. Detective Sergeant Brundle was assigned to the case.
One thing I also noticed that was consistent is that he still couldn't look at the camera. He had his hand up over his face at times. You know, it was contrived, it was a false emotion, and you know, that he was lying.
We now know Sharp had already killed his wife and daughter, shooting them both in the head with a spear gun.
I'm a bit concerned now because the police sort of obviously making inquiries and haven't tracked it to date. And
See how much upper lip raise he's doing?
Is that the disgust?
Yeah,
He does that a lot.
a lot.
I mean, I've spoken to Gracie, but I mean, she doesn't talk. So.
And he's shown us about 3 times very long eye blinks.
My daughter, that's all I'm really worried about, my daughter.
We interpret it as a sign that he's spending more time thinking about what he's saying or going to say next than the situation is required.
Did you kill your wife, Anna?
I haven't harmed my wife or my daughter. I haven't harmed either of them.
His answer is intriguing. For a start, there's a pause. There's not an immediate response. Second of all, he doesn't actually answer it. He doesn't say, no, I didn't kill her. He actually says, I didn't hurt my wife or my daughter. And that's what you find even in the most determined liars, is that they avoid telling the truth rather than actually lying.
So when he says, I didn't hurt them, in his mind, he didn't hurt them. He killed them, but he didn't hurt them.
Yes.
My goodness. So what do our experts make of the case that so divided Australians? Schapelle Corby was convicted of smuggling 4.1 kilograms of marijuana into Bali, but has always maintained her innocence. You weren't just being naive and silly and thinking, I'll give it a shot.
No. Not if I can get the death penalty. Not if I can be in here for 20 years and never have a baby. I am innocent.
No, I don't think it's a clear-cut one way or the other.
While Dr. Ekman couldn't call it, Professor Cantor was convinced.
Is that your boogie board? And yeah, I'm so excited. I'm having a holiday. I hadn't been here for 4 years. And I've gone, no, it's mine. And I've picked it up and I've put it on the counter.
I think there's an awful lot of what she says in that account that would tick boxes in terms of genuineness.
I don't know what it was, but I just...
The simple point is that in order to invent, you have to provide details, and therefore, if you're not giving a lot of details, there's less likelihood that it's genuine. She actually says what she was thinking about at the time.
And then they came to me and said, it's marijuana. And I'm like, well, yeah, I can smell it's marijuana, but it's not mine. This is my bag, and this is not mine.
She actually gives gestures of what she did at the time. She has very immediate reactions to questions about what other people present were doing that would actually be quite sophisticated to invent.
It can happen to anyone, and it's happened to me.
That would support the notion that what she said is truthful.
It will almost always be good old-fashioned detective work that nails most crims. But spotting those telltale slip-ups could make it just that bit harder for a gifted liar to get away with murder.
Once you learn to see them, you can't stop, you can't turn it off. But you have to be careful about how you use this information, because you're stealing it. You're taking information that someone doesn't want you to have.
Hello, I'm Nick McKenzie. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. Don't miss out on our extra minute segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.